glass, sharp, bitter, unapologetic. At first it sounds like an attack on women, and yes, it hurts. It's wrong. But those words didn't come from just anyone. They came from Arthur Schopenhauer, a philosopher known not for joy, but for pain, for cynicism, for seeing the world through a lens few dare to look through. Before we write him off as just another woman-hater, pause. Because Schopenhauer wasn't driven by hate. He was driven by fear. The fear of love. The fear of being discarded. The fear of becoming invisible, not in war, not in failure, but in love. Even the strongest man can feel small when love leaves him behind. And maybe that's what Schopenhauer was really trying to show us. As Seneca once said, the greatest pain doesn't come from hate, but from being unseen. So this isn't a story about blaming women. It's not about resentment. It's about the wound, the quiet agony of giving everything, and still not being enough. Part 2. Behind the bitterness. Not hatred, but hurt. Schopenhauer once wrote, "Women are animals with long hair and short ideas." Yes, it's offensive, brutal, cold, but we must ask, what pain could create such a sentence? He wasn't just lashing out. He was bleeding. He had once loved deeply, trusted completely, and he was left behind. What he hated wasn't women. It was the feeling of powerlessness that love had given him, that haunting sense. I gave everything, and still it wasn't enough. His bitterness wasn't born from arrogance. It was born from loss. And in that, he speaks to the unspoken questions many men carry. Why did she leave when I truly loved her? Why was I replaced, even when I gave my best? Why does love feel like a game I never understood, and already lost? These aren't hateful questions. They're human ones. They come from wounds no one talks about, from love that didn't reward kindness, but left silence in its place. Part 3. Love, the beautiful lie of instinct. To Schopenhauer, love isn't romance. It's biology. He believed every desire, every passion, every heartbreak is driven by one blind force, the will to live. And that will doesn't care about your happiness. It only wants the species to survive. So what we call falling in love is really just evolution doing its work. You think your heart chose her. Schopenhauer would say, no, your instincts did. Love in this view is a trick, a mechanism of nature, a beautiful deception. Love is a deception of the individual for the benefit of the species. Schopenhauer, the deeper you love, the more you crave. The more you crave, the more you suffer. So the path isn't to hate love, but to wake up, to stop chasing what you think will fill the void, and return to yourself. Part 4. Hypergamy, the silent instinct that leaves men questioning. Here's a truth you may not want to hear, but must. Being kind isn't what makes you chosen. You were the one who texted first, who stayed, who listened when she was hurting, and still, she walked away. Why? It wasn't because you were wrong. It was because something inside her didn't feel led. This isn't cruelty. It's instinct. Hypergamy is the name for the unconscious pull many women feel toward men with direction, certainty, presence. Not because they're shallow, but because for most of history, choosing the wrong man meant death. No food, no protection, no future for her children. That instinct didn't vanish. It just changed form. So even if you're kind, patient, and loving, she may still walk away if something in her doesn't feel secure in your presence. She didn't stop loving you. Her instinct just stopped believing you could lead your own life. Stoic love. This doesn't make her cruel. It makes her human. Part 5. when being good isn't enough. So what if you did everything right? You gave her love, you stayed loyal, you were good, and she still left, not because you failed, but because what she truly needed wasn't just goodness. It was strength, conviction, direction. Sometimes the hardest truth is this. She didn't want someone to please her. She wanted someone she could respect. And respect doesn't come from approval seeking. It comes from a man who leads himself. We suffer not because we love, but because we believe love should reward our kindness. Arthur Schopenhauer, you don't need to change your heart, but you do need to stop expecting that kindness will always be enough. Part 6. The pain you're not allowed to speak. There's a kind of pain no one asks about. You didn't cry, you didn't rage, you didn't beg, you just went quiet. Because as a man you were taught to swallow it, to be strong, to move on, to not talk about it. But that silence, it turns into poison. You start distrusting women. You start laughing at love. You call it growth. But it's really just pain you never named. And no one taught you how to deal with it, only how to hide it. But healing doesn't come from hiding. The wound is where the light enters you. Nietzsche. You don't need to become cold. You don't need to become the bad guy. You don't need to numb yourself. You need to feel what you've been taught to avoid. Part 7. The final truth. Men don't need to be chosen. They need to choose themselves. So what now? You did everything right, and it still wasn't enough. That's where many men break. But you don't have to break. Because here's the truth. Being chosen isn't where your value lies. You don't need to wait to be wanted. You don't need to be the guy she picks. You need to be the man who picks himself. The man who knows, I am enough, not because she stayed, but because I stayed true. So let her walk away. Let the world doubt you, but never doubt yourself. Because the moment you stop waiting to be chosen is the moment you become unstoppable.